Hello everybody, welcome to the show. I'm SM SithLord. This is the weekly build stream right here on the Somnium channels. Thank you for joining me today. Let me get my stream situated here so I can at least attempt to follow the chat. I'll do this over here, that, and then okay. All right, there we go. Now, this is the weekly build stream, and what I'll be doing today is building something similar to what the Ready Player Me avatars are dancing in there, and it's going to be a very colorful pre-lit environment created in 3ds Max that I'll bake the lighting in there, and then I'll export it into the webworld SDK after it's baked out, and then after I assign it to a parcel, it will be a hyper-optimized world that is so optimized that you could run it in, let me fix my controller here, you can run it in mobile VR mode, and it will run beautifully like there's not even anything happening at all, like it's just rendering it like it doesn't even exist. I was going to fly around on my gamepad, but I actually have my 3D mouse plugged in because I'm ready to start editing. So I'll just fly around with my mouse a little bit to show you. Where's my mouse look at? This is the aesthetic that I'm going for. Lots of solid colors to hide the fact that the texture resolution is pretty low. Nice specular highlights still on the baked shadows, lots of colors and things like that. This parcel you all can check out right now. I'll put the link in the chat, or I'll just say the parcel number. I'll display the parcel number. If you go to that URL showing, where is it? Over there? Over there? Parcel number 2820. So it's somniumspace.com/parcel number 2820. And it'll take you right here. You can go into photo mode and fly around just like I am. I suggest you turn on bloom. Bloom, it makes this environment look real nice. And you do that by going into the settings menu, going into more options, and you can turn on your frame rate. The SSAO doesn't look good in this environment because it's all baked out. It looks good in some though. But yeah, you can turn on bloom, and that one, which puts the dark border around it, and you look good. Okay, so let's make something very similar to this, but new, and different, and impressive in different ways. So we'll close that out. I have 3ds Max open in the background. I'm going to be building everything in inches, because I'm in California, America, and we use inches and feet and stuff. There's actually multiple reasons why I'm going to be building things in inches. Another reason is because building things in meters, while that's good for really large scale things, it's not good for high detail things. Inches is a good in between. Centimeters also is a really good in between, but I'm just using imperial because that's what I normally use, and that's what I think in. Although I am pretty good at thinking in meters and stuff now, because I've been making international 3D things for a while. Most 3D things are international. Okay, so the height is 6'2" of my person, and my person will be about that thick. So that is the scale that I will build everything around, okay? Now, I just need an idea of what to build. I don't need an idea of what to build. I'm just gonna build. I actually was thinking a little bit about what to build earlier. The aesthetics that I need to go for are the lots of curved things, because that makes the light bake look good, lots of neon things, and that's usually the ticket there. Now, if I do that, it could end up looking really, really good. So yeah, let's do that. Let's just do that. I'm getting some messages there. We'll ignore those for now. Some game stuff. Okay, cylinder. Sphere? Yeah, what happens if we make a sphere? And then we squash the sphere down like this. Do I want to make a semi-sphere, or do I want to do a 4x4 deformation cage? I think that, well, let's see what the slice looks like, or the hemisphere. What's that? Yeah. So, if the hemisphere is 0.5, the grid still looks good. It's looking like Thunderdome here. All right. Let's keep that up. Maybe I'll give it. That's enough there. Let's make this bigger. All right. We are like Thunderdome. But let's also squash it down some. It's going to be the exterior of my environment. Okay, so now how's it looking? That's looking pretty good. Let's bore something out in the middle. Yeah, let's do that. We can make this like a model viewing thing, and I could put a model in the middle that will be for viewing. How about that? Okay, now we're going to invert this thing. Let's do that. Oops, edit poly. Select everything and go to flip. Flip it. Okay, we're looking good. Now let's add a light inside of here. We'll add an Arnold light. Just a point light. Not bad for a start. Let's give it that milky white solid color that everybody loves. I can use textures, but then I can't get the light bake so detailed. Or I could use light maps and use textures, and then that's a good medium amount of. That's a good balance between. Well, actually, it's still not very performant. So the most performant thing you can possibly do is do a single color bake like this, because then it's just a light map. You don't even need anything else, and it's monochrome, so it compresses real well. But I'm going to do colored lighting. I'm still going to do solid color walls. I'm going to do lots of neon. And this little room is going to look pretty dang cool when I'm done. I'm thinking I should cut a hole in the roof, perhaps. I don't know. I'm just getting started here. This lighting preview is way off in here, but I'm going to be putting some neon stuff going around. I wanted to cut a hole in the roof. Yeah, let's do it. Let's cut a hole in the roof. We're going to do it. In fact, I think that the hole in the roof, it wants to be cut just because of the way the geometry is. It's designed to do its thing. Is that going to be big enough? Yeah, maybe it will. Maybe it will. Be like that. Okay, and then everything. We'll do auto smooth. Yep. Render. So that's going to be the skylight. The skylight's going to be coming in through there. I'm also going to need other light sources around the room. I like the lighting in the corner, how it kind of has that nice gradient. So I don't want to go too hard on it. This is reminding me of the VR room, like the default VR room when you load into Steam VR. Let's go with that theme then. Okay, Alex. If I can avoid a skybox, then this can be really, really low file size. I think this is good right here. I don't even need to explain where the light comes from. It just comes from there. What else would really put this simplistic thing? Okay, this is going to be a model viewing thing, right? So let's put... Is it going to be a model viewing thing? I'm kind of thinking a floating screen in the middle of this room might be pretty dang cool. Let's do that. Let's make this a theater. We'll make it a theater. Now, I can't do a curved screen because a curved screen won't work. Screens, unless it's a video. If I'm displaying an MP4, then it can work. So let's do a curved screen. That'll be impressive, right? Right? Of course. And if I know what video I'm putting on it beforehand, then I will be able to emit light based on the image. Okay? So, the curved screen shall go right over there. I'll make this thing like this. We'll make sure we have enough geometry on this thing and that it's the right aspect ratio. So if this thing is 30 feet wide, no, 40 feet wide, no, 50 feet wide, how tall should it be to be 16 by 9? Calculator, width in whatever, the meters actually. If this width is 50 feet, well, yeah, let's do it in inches. Feet, let's do it in feet. Feet. If this thing is 50 feet, it should be height 100. That's 16 by 9? No. That is not 16 by 9. This thing is fibbing. That's 2 to 1. Wait, what? Maybe it rounded it. Oh man, math. Okay, calc. We're doing 50 times 12 inches is 600 inches. 600 inches is going to be 100 inches tall. Okay. That looks like it's right. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. There, that's 16 by 9? Sure, I can believe that. Okay, and then gonna give it some geometry to its bend. I also want it to kind of bubble in, so we'll see what we can do with that. Now, let's make it snapping. We're going to put a bend on this thing. This bend is going to be at first on this angle, like so. Cool. But also, I want a little bit of bend down. A little bit of bend down, I think. So, to get my little bit of bend down, I'll put a second bend on here, and I'll say this one bends that way. How's that going to look? It's going to look distorted, is how that's going to look. But it's going to look cool distorted. Okay, and then over here. Thinner? No, I don't think thinner. I think not as thin. How's the decoration on this thing going to look? Let's make it float a little bit. And then it can glow on the edges. Okay. So as it's glowing on the edges, kick to it. That'll do. Okay, so let's get an image to throw onto here that I'm going to display. It's going to be a 16:9 MP4 that I self-host somewhere. That's fine. It should stream in and everything. So the video that will be put on here will be, I don't know what. Let's see. It's got to be not too long. I'm not going to be able to think, so I'm going to just throw a placeholder image on here. Yeah, that's the ticket. Let's go over to the Jedi Archives material library, and I have a texture for this. It's called Dynamic Screen. Because dynamic screens are everywhere. Okay, now the dynamic screen will get assigned to something over here when it's ready. It's not quite ready yet. Right now it's going to get its white texture assigned to it. So I'm going to put a... this thing's going to start glowing now, and as soon as I make this thing start glowing colors, it's going to be intense with the color glowing. And that's probably why it's important that I know what video is going to be shown on that wall. It could be a long video. So let me think through this. 16:9. That screen doesn't look 16:9, but the colors of the video need to be blue. It could be clips from Tron. I could put clips from Tron, which are mostly hues of blue. Then as long as the screen's outputting blue light, it'll kind of look like it matches. I don't know about that downward bend. Let's take that off. How does it look without it? Yeah, it looks better without it. And I'm thinking, do I just want this thing to be glowing white instead of blue? I just may. If I want it glowing at all, I mean, if I make it glow, it's kind of going to kill the awesomeness. The screen itself should glow, though. It would kill the simplicity. Okay, let's make the screen itself glow. Let's turn off that bendward down. I didn't like it. We're going to go to the edit poly, and we're going to grab all the stuff in the middle. And then, so to get all the stuff in the middle, I'm actually going to select a strip. So I have to click less things. There's a faster way to do this, actually. There. Do it like this. Now, I can just do this. Oops. This. Level it in. About yay big. And then we'll bevel it in. About yay big. That's where the screen will go. Now the screen, let me think here, the screen. Let's make this thing not as wide. Not as tall as well. Oh, what happened? Oh, what happened to my thing, damn it? They took off my whole modifier. Damn. Okay, because this thing, it's gonna have the... Oh wait, no it's not. Okay, this is fine, this is fine. Okay, good. Talking to myself here, it seems. Because that wasn't very too productive, but now I know what to do. I will get these things. No, I will occlude back faces Something I could not figure out how to do to save my freaking life in Substance Painter the other day. It's like, how do you include with the fill select, with the polygon fill select? I couldn't figure it out. Okay, bevel in for the border. There. And then bevel in for the recession. And in there will be the screen. Okay. Like so. Let's go like there. Put in here. Okay, now let's give that screen a big old glow for right now. Which means we gotta make a clone of this thing, edit clone, and then I'm gonna hide that clone of it. Because I'm about to merge this thing down. And then while I'm here, I'll select everything and auto smooth it. But what I really want to do is I'll select all those faces in the front, which is actually going to be pretty difficult to do this time, huh? Unless I do this. Ugh. Ugh. I want to include some backface. Hey, these things are going to get my other material. This is going to be glow white. No, GLTF. It's going to be a GLTF called glow white, and it's called that because it glows white. Doesn't look like it did anything different in here, but when I press, well, it does actually, but when I press this button, it'll actually emit light. And that's why it's like, hey, maybe that should be emitting, it actually definitely should be emitting the color of light that's going to be actually coming from that screen. Another thing that I'm realizing is the hard angle is cool on the edges, but round is what makes the bakes look good. So I'm going to round up the edges of my screen there. That's going to have my MP4. So do that. I'm going to select some edges here. All these guys. And all these guys. And some form of all these guys. Right. Should be almost everything I wanted to select. Almost, because next up was this stuff. And that stuff, okay, and then some more of this. Okay, now I should have the entire border, I believe. Except that little guy. So if I add a bevel to all of my selected edges, I should be just about round. So let's try it. Be a chamfer, actually. We only went a little bit like so. It's looking pretty good. I think that I will take it. I'll buy that for $1. Auto smooth and then see how that looks. This time auto smooth put everything on one. It's gonna look so smooth. That's the point. There. Now the light bake will look more impressive along those curved edges. Very curved edges now. And the poly count's not going to be a problem. This is going to be a ridiculously small map. One person's avatar is going to have way more polygons and textures than this thing. Depending on their avatar. Okay, so I'm going to be putting my MP4 on that screen. Hopefully that screen isn't too wide. It looks pretty wide there. We'll see. Maybe I'll just be okay with my video being stretched. What else is in this room? Any other light sources? There should be. And, okay, so I'm going to be watching a video on that screen. That video will be an MP4. Do I want to put some images into this space too? I believe that I do. And light sources like the neons. Okay, so let's do the neon stuff. And I don't have any colors going on. Now I was thinking that maybe this could be a monochrome color thing. I might do that. And if I'm going to do that, I could add some glowing light rings up there. That would make sense. I don't know. It looked kind of good up there though, without any glowing light rings. How about some furniture in the middle of the room? I like the simplicity. I really do. Okay, I'm going to leave the screen glowing white, and I'm going to add some glowing light things around the other side of the room, and then I'm going to bake it out and get it on the parcel. And maybe I could do that all in the stream today. I'll call it a simple room. Okay, let's do some Boolean stuff here to make some light sources that are mostly spheres. We'll have a sphere that's like that, maybe squashed down like that. Okay, and then we'll have another sphere, or this is going to be a hemisphere. Good. We'll have another sphere like this. This is not a hemisphere. Okay, that looks cool. I want to convert this to an editable poly so I can add something to this. We'll make a GLTF material of glow, pink glow. These don't have to be GLTF materials because I'm baking everything down anyways. I could use full PBR, I could use PBR metallic gloss, doesn't matter. I could use standard materials, V-Ray, Arnold. Well, Arnold is PBR. It doesn't matter. It'll all work when you're baking. When you're baking. Make sure that these are all on a smoothing group. How's it look? Looking good. Now, if I put anything around it, it would cast shadows. So if I put like cool rings around it, those rings would cast shadows. I don't think I want to cast shadows. Any complex shadows, because I'm going for super minimalistic here, and complex shadows would wreck my vibe. Do I want to add an actual light in addition to the neon glow? Now that is a consideration because I haven't yet figured out how. I asked ChatGPT, it told me a few different things, nothing's worked out yet, how to make the glow actually exceed what it is right now. Because right now it's full blast glow with emission. It's just doing a full blast emission on it. But I can't go beyond that. I can't do like ×2 emission, ×3 emission. The only way I can do that right now is by putting my own lights in there. But hey, this is looking good, and I'm going simplistic. I'm not going to touch it. This is good. Let me unwrap this. If it's not unwrapped already, it is unwrapped. That one is. How about this one? This one's probably not because I modified it. So I'll do a UV unwrap. Let's just see how this thing looks and do it unfold. See, it looks nuts. I don't want it to look nuts. It's too late to make it not look nuts, isn't it? Because I merged it and did all that stuff. Okay, it's okay. It's Unix system, we know this. That should work out fine with the bake. Alright, and then I'll just group these things together. Make a few clones of them around. I'm going to be doing this symmetrical, because why not? So if I'm doing this symmetrical, let's get it right on one of these points, and then I'll just go ahead and move the pivot of the group here and do some of this. not it. That's not it. There it is. Interesting. This is not even centered. This should be centered. Well, I noticed my radial symmetry was all off. Tinker with that a little bit more. Now these guys should be centered over here. Yeah. Group. Pivot point. Center. Two, three, and four. How does that look? It looks good to me, and I know that it looks simple, but that's kind of what I'm going for. More real slick here. So, am I ready to bake this thing out? Let's see. I'm going to put an MP4 on the wall. Okay. I want to put a symbol on the ground. I put the symbol on the ground inside of Play Canvas, though. I don't need to bake it in. If I did bake it in, it'd be emitting colors. I don't need that. So I think that I am happy with this world. I need to put a camera in it. I always forget to put a camera in it. Let's not forget to put a camera in it. The camera. We'll do a targeted camera. We'll start over here. All right, so let's keyframe this camera. Sure. To do that, we're going to give it 1,000 frames, and we'll. I could auto key, and I will auto key. I do want to set my first key there, and then when we get over to about 150 frames, let's be over here. And then when we get to 300 frames, let's be over here. And then when we get to 450 frames, let's be let's be all the way in here. Okay, and then when we get to 600 frames, we'll be over here. $750. harken back to our beginning point. Okay, let's see how that turned out. Okay, that's our camera loop. I'll take it. We'll call this, it's already called camera, right? It's called camera. And I think I'm ready to bake. Take one last look to see if I need to add any more light sources. I could add a light source behind the actual TV screen, because it is pretty dark back there. I don't want to cast more shadows though. I like my clean shadows. I actually only have one light in this entire scene that casts shadows, and that's why my shadows are so clean. The glow, they cast more like shading because they don't glow very bright. There's a little bit of shadowing happening from there, but the actual Arnold light is just that one up there. Okay, so now I need to think about the UV mapping of that screen. And it needs to be exported as its own material, which means that it doesn't go into the UV mapping. Okay, it's a Unix system. I know that stuff. Let's do it. Save, and then I'm going to export. No, I'm going to detach this thing. So let's occlude back faces, and we'll attach touch this rectangle. Like, yeah. And then let's detach that so it's not UV. I'm talking to myself here. Detach that so it's not UV mapped, and then UV map the rest, and then export, but include that with it. And then that's the material that's going to be replaced. So I do need to UV map this, and it needs to be UV mapped like this. So this is the texture, and it's not going to have this on here in the end, but while I'm testing things, it needs to have this on there. Oh, it looks already perfectly. It's already perfect. Already. How did that happen? I don't know, but I'll roll with it. You go away. You go back to glowing. Okay. All right. So with that, I am ready to merge stuff and bake stuff, I believe. Oh no, wait, no, I need to detach this. Cable detached! Call it screen. Alright, baby. Let's make it happen. All the screen I will center to object. Yeah. And this thing is already centered to there, so we're good. And now it's time to merge. So let's make a backup copy of this thing. And then we're going to call this thing Simple Room. Merge the sphere down to there. And then attach. We'll attach that, and that, and that. But now that should be everything. Oh, I missed a ball. Now I should be ready to bake. I'll remove my little guy so he doesn't cast a shadow. And I'll remove this thing, and I'll save this as merged. We got simple room, we got the screen and the camera and the light. Looks good. The camera is invisible, it's not going to cast anything. So I'm ready to bake. No, I'm ready to unwrap. So let's unwrap. I should have selected everything before I did that. Drat. Okay, so select everything and then peel it. This is an auto unwrap. That's such a bad auto unwrap there. I do not like that auto unwrap. What am I going to do about it though? Not much. Here's what I need to do about it. What I need to do about it is get rid of that and then say you. You're programmed for etiquette and protocol. Let's detach all of this. Okay. Let's detach all of them up there. Okay. Let's give this thing a seam. How do I edit a seam? I could give it a seam right down the top. I could. Right there. Tools, detach. Edge verts, okay. Now, let's see how well this thing can unwrap. All that is because I really suck at UV unwrapping. I'm trying to avoid doing mostly any unwrapping at all. But I needed to add a seam, and that's how I know how to add a seam. Now when I click this, the scale distribution of things is going to be way better. Yeah, it's still crazy, but it's way better. And with that, we're good to go with the bake. Yeah. Well, actually, I bet you it didn't UV map these things very well. I just have a feeling, yeah. That was a good feeling. It didn't know what it was doing with those things, but I know what to do with those things. Come on. Give it a planar map. It's not hard. There. Okay. Next up were the things on the bottom. I don't think that it did those very wise. Yeah, there they go. They're freaking nuts. And there we go. All right. We're fixed. And now when I select everything and I go back to redistribute, they're even better. Cool. How about a little of that? A little of that action. No, it didn't like that, did it? Utilize that space. What are you guys doing? Utilize it. It's there. Why are you not utilizing it? Are you too good for your home? Whatever. Okay, so let's see how this bakes out. Aha, save. And bake. We'll do a test bake real quick. To do the test bake, we'll bake the texture. We'll do a beauty mat. We'll do the test bake at 1024. Padding through the roof. UV channel 1. PNG, simple room beauty. I think we're good. Oh no, over here we're going to create a new material of GLTF and assign our baked material into emission. I do this so it generates the roughness map, or the shell material for me, which is useful when I need to make changes after I do a bake. This is rendering stupid fast. Now, you look at that and it looks like that's the texture. That's actually not the texture. That's just the preview. The texture looks different. It's over here in 3ds Max, Scene, Assets, Images. Where's Simple Room at? It should be here. Unless I rendered it to the wrong place, and I did. It's over here in Max. Scene, Assets. Images. There it is. And you see that it stretches the edge vertices of things very far. And that's really important. That is super important. In fact, I might not have had enough padding to let it do as much stretching as it needs to, like over here. I don't know. We'll see. So ignoring the glitter, the sparkles that are going to be all over this texture, let me grab this thing, and here's my multi-material, and it's already got my thing assigned to it. Cool. I'm ready to export this then. After I change its base color. Alright, so now when I export this thing, here, let's do File, Save As, Baked, and I can delete the camera. No, I want to keep the camera. I want to delete the target. Here, I want to export selected. I want to export these three things. How's this going to work out for me? I'll call it simpleroom.fbx. Now, sometimes when I export an FBX, when I export embedded, it doesn't include the materials the way that it should. We'll see how that goes. Another thing I got to do is it's time to go to playcanvas.com and create a new project by importing the webworld's template. So I'm going to click new. No, actually, I'm going to click upload or import a project. And from there, I'm going to find webworld's template that I downloaded earlier from the Medium article. Just search for Somnium webworld's Medium article, and that links you to the GitLab where you can grab this template. It takes a moment to upload. While that's doing its thing, I'll see how my room looks here. Did it export? It exported. No, it did not. It did not. So let's make it happen for real. Those two things want to go together, sure. The only thing I don't need is the light. I'll just leave the light. I'll just export everything and see how it goes. Export simpleroom.fbx, and instead of 5 megabytes, it should be way more megabytes. Or maybe it's my shell material that's confusing it. That's okay. That's okay. Let's move forward because The important thing is what happened there? Let's try that again. Web world template. If it can't import this, I'll have to just clone one of the other projects that I already have. Yeah, and let's go ahead and export this thing as a GLB just so I can show y'all what it looks like. Now, I will have to render out a much nicer bake that doesn't have so much noise. I probably will need to render out a much nicer bake. I might just be able to run denoiser on this because this isn't looking too bad. There's no reason I can't give it 20 or 30 more minutes into a bake to make a far higher quality bake before I run it through the denoiser though. Okay, missing hashes out. I'll report that bug and see if we can get that fixed. But for now, I will just clone one of my existing web world templates here. Curvy balls. Fork. We'll call this one simple room. Oh, this is something I made last week because I missed my Friday stream. I created this in 3ds Max and exported it. The same workflow that I'm doing today, except for it just took longer to do this one. It took like hours to do this one. I'm doing the one I'm doing right now in like less than 2 hours. So this was a fun one. I tweeted the video about this one. Let's delete this now because I forked this, so I can go ahead and delete this. And that, and that. Alright. Is no, I'll just turn it off now. And now we could delete the donut. Oops. And the pre-rewards. Okay, now I'm basically a vanilla Somnium Web SDK template anyways. And I'm gonna upload. So there's the GLB. The GLB usually doesn't have the animations. I'm gonna test that though. I'm gonna go ahead and upload the GLB and see if it gives me the animations now. As the Play Canvas engine is an active engine, it gets updated every so often. What didn't work one time, what didn't work one day might work the next. So we'll see if the GLB export that I did has the animation. And it might be 3ds Max. I might be exporting it incorrectly from 3ds Max and that's why it doesn't have the animation. In fact, I'm pretty sure that is the case because I have imported GLBs that had animations before. So I will import my FBX instead. So import FBX. I'm very confident that this one will have my animation in it. There it is. Okay, so we'll swap this thing in there. So, I believe that it's huge. Is it huge? It might be. But another thing that I need to do is fix the material on it. By giving it Hey. All right, and then the MP4 that's going to be playing on the wall. Right now, I'm just going to grab a plasma MP4. Trying to find the perfect image. I think this is it. Share MP4. I'm just going to download this thing as an MP4. Plasma vid. And I'm just going to upload it to the project. Now, when I put a longer MP4 in here, I'm not going to upload it to the project. I'll host the MP4 somewhere else and just reference it through the URL, video URL. But if it's a short video, you can just put the MP4 into the project like I'm doing right now. I probably don't want to put it in that folder. I'm going to go over here. And then you could assign the video asset. Now, you don't need to do a URL. It tells you right here when you hover over it. Use a video asset or a URL, not both. So I did an asset, okay. For the texture, I'm just going to reuse the sample texture here. So what is that? Sample video. I'll clone it. Duplicate. Okay, put it over here because that's what I want on this thing. Okay, now we got the video material on there, and I'm ready to set it up over here. It already is, and it's the emissive that's playing on it. Is that right? Yeah, that should be right. So let's see. Oh, that's not it. Oh wait, before I click launch, I have to add a collisions to this. So physics, collision, and a physics rigid body. I'm going to say to use the mesh. It thinks that my thing is non-uniform scale. I wish that it was uniform scale. I don't know how it exported non-uniform scale. I must have to reset my Xforms. Let's try that. Okay, I'm going to re-upload this FBX and we'll see how well Play Canvas handles that. Because I changed some things, I modified the texture and things like that. Also, apparently I changed the scale, so I probably will need to delete something and respawn it at the very least. Now I'm uniform scale, I think. Yes, yes sir. So now, when I add my collision and my rigid body, it won't give me that warning. Cool. I fixed it first try. Lesson there is be sure that you don't have weird scales on your stuff when you export. And it's nice that the thing told me that I had the weird scale going. Okay, so now I got that on there. I got this as the collider here. I actually don't need camera target, but I do need camera. And the camera, I want to add a camera component to. There we go. Like so. Yeah. Now when I click launch, I'll be able to run around it. I won't see the preview camera until I activate the animation on it. I have to set up the animation on it actually. Until I put it on a parcel, then I'll see the preview camera. Gave you an error about my MP4 that I can ignore, that won't show up when I actually put this on a parcel. And hey, we are looking good. Almost. Now, the reflections. The reflections. I want to make a different HDR image to light this with. Also, I mean, I have to re-render this thing out to get rid of the noise. But let's mess with it a little bit. Let's give it a little bit of a shine to it. Make sure I don't have any fog. Okay, so it's really the HDR image and the noise that need to be tweaking here. I don't see too much reflection happening, but I think that's because of the HDR-ness. Okay, everything's looking good. I'm gonna do that denoise, and then I'm gonna set up no, I'm not gonna do the denoise yet. I'm gonna set up for the long render, and that will be the conclusion of the stream today. Perhaps. Let me check Blockade Labs real quick. If I could create a new skybox that has pinks in it, everything will look better. So what if I do a whitewashed future city with neon purple and pink trees? Often when making an image specifically to do HDR lighting, not to be an actual skybox, abstract things work out pretty well. You just need like a highlight of something that looks like a light source and something that looks like some non-detailed objects just sitting around that receive the light that's being casted around. Because when you're doing HDR lighting, unless you have a lighting probe, several lighting probes all over the place, like in rooms, and especially during the transition between one room to the next, because it's a lot like reflections. You're going to get weird lighting. So you try to do, because the lighting conditions vary. There's a bright room, there's a dark room, so you got to change HDRs. So instead of, if you can't just have a whole bunch of different lighting probes, like because of size restrictions and performance and stuff like that, you want to have a very generic lighting probe that works in most rooms. This is ridiculous. I like it. Let's download it and get it ready to use. Which involves going to HDRI to CubeMap. I just searched for this and it brings me to this tool. This tool lets me upload an HDRI image and it will turn it into a cube map before my eyes. And then I click save. I tell it the format that I want it to export as. it processes it, and then I click export. No, I click save. All that happened before my graphics software even opened up. That's okay. When it does open up, I'll be creating a new skybox, dropping it into here, and that will help my runtime reflections. Now, to get rid of the noise, I gotta do something over here. Okay, so here is baked. I'm ready to rebake this thing. But before I rebake it, I need to adjust my lighting setting here. I only have one light, so I can crank this up. For this one, the samples all go all the way up to 16. Yeah. And then I could go to my rendering settings for Arnold. One day I'll get good at using hardware rendering. I'm still using the software renderer because it's easier to configure. And I'll set this diffuse to 8. No, up that to 2. No, that'll make it too bright. I'll just leave it at 1. Because when you up the ray depth, it makes everything brighter. I don't think I want everything brighter. Okay, now with those settings, when I click render, it's going to take a long time. Well, actually, pressing render here shouldn't take a long time. It shouldn't take too long, so let's try that. It's when I render the... maybe it will take a long time. It's when I render the actual... texture sheet or UV sheet that's going to take an extra long time. This is going to take not a negligible amount of time either, because you see it's just taking longer to pretty much just denoise the thing more as it's rendering. Okay, so I will be doing that off stream. Let's process this cube map on stream. I have a project for this. It's on the Jedi archives. Media library skybox. Skybox templates. Okay. And the way that my thing works is I unzip my skybox, drop it into here, make sure it's positioned correctly. Save as. No, file. More save options. Save as HTML. Where's there to just up there? Okay, almost done processing my cube map. I gotta rotate it some. That looks correct. We'll see if that's correct. That looks correct. And now that looks correct. This is a pretty cool skybox. Now let's upload this skybox to the... We'll make a new folder. Make a new folder. This folder will be called Skybox 2. Because I already have a Skybox 1 that I probably will get rid of eventually. And here are my 1, 2, 3... Should be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 images. Okay. I'll be putting them into a cube map called Skybox 2. That looks good. So right and LF are used. How about front? Front's used, and it moves it back. That's all that remains. Alright. Pre-filter that cube map, please. And use that cube map, if you will. And give me awesome purple hues. There we go. Cool. Map. Stick to 1, no, 2. I want these to be far more shiny. Here. Okay. Now when I add, maybe I'll make my cube map a little bit more blurry. When I fix the sparkles to make the bake look impressive, then we are in business. And this will look pretty dang cool. Alright, so I'm all prepared to click bake. Oh look, I even can collide with these things. I'm all prepared to click bake. Let me make sure I don't want to tweak this a little bit more. I actually do. I don't know if I want to save my tweaks, but I do want to tweak this a little bit more. If I turn that down, that makes it not as drowned out, but then I need to compensate. That's looking pretty good. All right, let's click that bake button. Let's see how pretty we can make this bake. Go from there. What am I thinking here? 2K bake? I'm thinking a 2K bake with a blur and it could look real good. So that's what I'm gonna try. Then after that, I just I replaced the FBX again. I'm just telling you what I'm going to do right now because I'm going to be doing this part off stream. I replaced the FBX with a new export. Actually, no, I just replaced the texture because I'm not changing the model. And then I go over here and I click Publish and Build, download a zip, throw it onto my parcel, and we're good to go. So let's click that big old button. Free up some RAM and then click that button. And the button that I want to click is the big fat bake button. Update bake. And there's one thing I want to change. Instead of creating a new material every time, I already have a material. So I just need to output the file and everything will auto-update itself. Image size, I'm going to up this to 4K. I want to. I mean, it would look beautiful 4K. But I'm just going to do 1024 because I am targeting web. Background color doesn't matter because I have so much padding. And that's that. Let's click the bake button. Overwrite files. It's going to take a while this time around because it's the higher resolution. But in the end, I will be throwing it on here. I could delete skybox number 1 because it's not being used here. It thinks that I deleted the skybox that was being used. I don't know why. That's a bug. I noticed this last time I was messing with skybox. When I refresh the editor, it goes back to normal. It gets its stuff together. And I'll be throwing that MP4 on the screen. The MP4 is going to be no sound. I just realized, okay, my cube map is way bigger than it needs to be. That's something I'll optimize. I can't optimize it while I was running. Everything's gonna be slow while I'm running here. In fact, I should close this so it renders faster. But my cube map, I saved it as 1024 by 1024. It does not need to be 1024 1024. I'm using it as an HDR lighting probe, HDRI, whatever. So because of that, it could be really, really small, and you saw that it was blurred anyways. Because I didn't want the detail. I just wanted to have these generic reflections going on. So I'm going to actually lower the resolution of my skybox to 512 by 512. Yes, because I'm using it as an HDRI, not as a skybox. The skybox was awesome, the image itself, so maybe I'll use it in another environment. And another thing that I forgot to rig up is the animation. So when I drop in the new model, I'll also drop in the animation, which I already exported from 3ds Max, and it's of the camera flying around. And I just add an animation component to my scene to make that work, because it works off of that hierarchy anyways. And I attach a play canvas camera inside of my camera object that I exported. Or maybe just add a play canvas camera component to the thing. And what that will do, it will make the camera fly around before the players join the space. So, as you can see in the bake already, there's no noise. There is noise because this is actually, when you blow it up huge, like how it's going to appear in world, the texels are huge. So that's why I needed to do the blurring. So even though you can't see the noise here, I know that there is noise after I blow it up, and there is noise hidden in the detail of this image. And for that reason, I will be running the despeckle on my Photoshop like app. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Keep your eye out for the tweet of this one if you want to see it as soon as it's ready, or just tune in to my stream next week, Friday, 9 a.m. right here, and I'll show you how this one ended up, just like I showed you how the other one ended up in the beginning of this stream, before we move on to the next one. Now, I've been doing lots of baking hyper-optimized one draw call worlds lately. It's a lot of fun doing it. They run really well. They look nice. They have good lighting. So I'll keep doing a bunch of this stuff. But Play Canvas recently added Sketchfab support into the editor itself. So now you can just like search for a model and just drop it right into your scene. It's usually not optimized to do that. So maybe next week I'll drop some of those not so optimized models straight from Sketchfab into this scene to show how that works, because it is good. They are really good high quality models over there, and when you're really careful about your environment, like the ones I've been making here that are like one draw call, you have some wiggle room to be importing a heavy model from Sketchfab and dropping it into the middle, because you haven't used up all of your scene's assets just for the room itself. So we'll be doing some of that next week. Be sure to check in then, and I'll see y'all then. Peace out. Have a great day. Oh, happy 4th of July to everybody on this continent, in this specific country where I'm at in America. It's 4th of July weekend. Party. Woo! All right. Later.